Shabbat shalom. Shabbat shalom. One more time. Good to be in the room with everybody, and glad to see everybody make it. We got one of them around? Yeah, this one. Okay, we'll make sure we get that together. Thank you, Teshua. Gene, got a little rhythm section going early. Yeah, I like that. You know I like that. And shalom to all of you that's still coming in the room. We are excited today to be here on this glorious Shabbat. We done made it through 2 holidays. Man, we got through that Halloween, and none of us painted our kids like the devil this year. Hallelujah. Nobody was overdosing on rotten candy. Hallelujah. Then we had to get through that Thanksgiving. Boy, every Thanksgiving, right, that's right. Man, every house we went by, boy, had that nasty pig going. And thinking that if you just put a little pineapple on it, everything will be all right. It don't work like that. Hallelujah, hallelujah, hallelujah. Before we get started, how about we do this? Let's do the Shabbat. Since we all in the room, let's do the, I'm gonna need a leader. Y'all come on up and let's lead this together. Iran and Karen, come on. I'm happy to be able to be here with y'all on this Shabbat. To those of you who know, I went through this crazy cold, and then when I went to Texas, on the way back, somebody had a crazy cough on that airplane. And if anybody knows about airplane travel, you know you're kind of stuck in that metal tube, that metal cigar case for 3 hours. And you know, that's the one thing about traveling that has been sort of becoming a burden, is that, you know, it seems like every time I'm on that plane, somebody gets on that plane sick. So it kind of took me down for a week. And, oh, that's because this went out. Sorry about that. Let's bring this back on. How about that? It should come up. If not, we just get another DMI cord if we have an extra one. There may be more of stuff too. Oh, there you go. How's that? We got that one. Okay, cool. So continue to pray for me. I was just down all week long with a cough, and I'm going to try to get through today's message without having a cough attack. But all week it's been getting better, and I had a chance to get away on yesterday. and tried to get some sun and tried to get a little exercise in, and I think it may have done some good. And so we're going to try to make it through this Shabbat on today. Hallelujah. Hallelujah. I want to welcome everybody that's in the room live with us right now. Hallelujah. Everybody that's in this room, let's say Shabbat Shalom to everybody online. All right, ready? Go. Shabbat Shalom. All right, Shabbat Shalom to the 12 tribes that have been scattered worldwide, all over the earth. According to the biblical manuscript, you will be scattered from the east to the west, the north, and the south. But in these last days, Abba Yah is so kind that he is waving his hand again. And as a result of this second wave, he is recovering his people and returning them to himself. Hallelujah. The scripture said, we are his people and the sheep of his pasture. All right. Let me begin on this Shabbat by saying again to all of you who came out. I think the count was 120 something people showed up to Dallas when we met last week. Come on, everybody, y'all can say hallelujah. It was a wonderful crowd, and of course, there were so many more watching us online, and we give Yah praise for the insight that he was giving us down there. I told our Rabbi Yaron for you and Karen coming down. Told our Rabbi, of course, to all of the teachers, Caleb, who flew in, Yimeyahua, who hosted us, and Brother Emmanuel, who shared with us some great insights. And we are grateful for the opportunity every time we get it. When we come together like that, we're making relationships, and people are connecting, and people that are waking up are being encouraged. And that's going on not just in Dallas, but that's going on right now all over the world. We realize that we are just a very small part of what Yah is doing all over the world. And we are grateful to be able to do our part. Let me also say this. Those of you who want to support the art, a lot of times I get to the end of the message and I forget to do this, so I'm going to do it in the beginning. Take out time and just go over to the website. You can go to the website and you can just click donate. We have sometimes up to 200 or 300 people watching us online, and 200 or 300 folk in the room. Then we should have like 200 or 300 donations. We never ask for an amount. We just say give something. And if you're in the house and you know that you are receiving something, then it is your responsibility to then give something. It's my responsibility as the Moreh to study, to have something to share with you. It's your responsibility as a learner, a student of Hebrew, a supporter, to have something to share. So it works both ways. Hallelujah. Nobody likes no one-sided nothing. I don't care what it is. If one person feel like I'm doing all the work, they're going to feel like quitting. Is that true or not? Take two little kids pushing a wagon. One kid get on the wagon, another kid got to push. And then he say, man, it's your turn to ride. And then the kid that was riding like, shoot, I ain't pushing. Right then, Mama. Why? Because it's not fair for one person to do all the pushing, everybody just ride. We all should be in this what? Together. So if you've been putting it off, you've been saying, I want to support the work of the ARK, but you haven't done it, or you should be doing it on a regular basis. Again, if you're in the room with us, I'm giving you time right now by talking to give you an opportunity to share. Also, those of you who that are in the room with us live right now, I'm giving you an opportunity to give, to share. In the beginning of the message, as I said again, I'm going to do it early this time because there's some information I want to share and I don't want to forget. So if you're ready to receive the offering that's in the room, while we're playing some music, those of you online, go over to the website or just go to the, you can do the Cash App or you can do PayPal or whatever is easy for you to, whatever way is easy for you to give you an opportunity to do that now. We're going to play some music. I think Miguel is in it. Miguel, would you come forward and pray with us as we enter into his gate with thanksgiving and to his court with praise? We're going to begin today's message, or I should say our worship, with giving.
If we're ready, let's pray. Abba Yah, Toda Rabbah. We just want to thank you for waking us up this morning with that spirit to come to worship you. Now that we're here, we'd like to show our obedience by giving something so that it may be used to further the kingdom. We give you thanks in your son's name, Yahushua, our Hamashiach. Amen. Amen.
Hallelujah. Welcome once again, everybody in the room. Boy, it's good to see y'all. It's good to be here. One more day in the park, we would have been freezing. Oh my goodness. Yah is so kind that he brought us in right at the right time. For those of you who are online, I know that you guys could not see the board, but those of you that are in the room, you can see the overhead projector. And you will see that we are in Matthew chapter 10. And again, our focus is on what did our King do. We're focusing on what he did because we studied first what he taught. And after hearing what he said, we now get a chance to see what he did. And that's very important because we know that our King's walk matched his talk. Ooh. Did y'all hear what I said? We don't have a king that said one thing, but then when you start watching him, he then did another thing. No, our king not only taught the right talk, he then walked the right walk. He's our king. And as a king, as Malek, we are then called to follow him, which means to do what he has done. And not only to hear what he has said, but to then do the work. Speedy is in the house. Well, I ain't seen you since last Passover. Hallelujah. I wanna speak from really just a couple of verses 1 and 2. So if you have it, Luke chapter 10, verse 1. Luke chapter 10, verse 1. Just going to look at a couple of verses here as we introduce this. Oh, by the way, Todah Rabbah Teshua, last week, he did a review of all of the names of the disciples. I asked him if he would do that, and he did it here. Unfortunately, it didn't get recorded, so we got to have you do it again so that we can record that information, because based on what I heard, it was very good. We wanted to go online so people can hear the research that you were able to do. Huh? Matthew. Am I on Luke? Yeah, Matthew. I said Luke. Oh, ooh. I told you I've been coughing all week. That's my excuse. Matthew, so sorry. Matthew chapter 10. So he broke down every disciple and their names and something about them. And I thought it was a very interesting study. And so he did it, and we're going to have him do it again because it is very important that we see sometimes some of the hidden jewels and hidden gems that are in our text that we just kind of read over. I won't be getting into that too deep today, but I want to look at our King and his call. Our King and his call. I want to look at that. Matthew chapter 10, verse 1 says, "And when he had called unto him his 12 disciples, he gave them power against unclean spirits." Do y'all see that? To do what? To cast them out. Do y'all see it? And to, roll with me, and to heal, come on, not just some, but what? All manner, every type of sickness and, come on, all manner of what? Diseases. Now, and he goes on, this is the part that Teshua covered. I'm not going to go into his message, but I'm going to just read it. Now, the names of the 12 apostles are these. First, we see Simon, who's called who? In English it said Peter, but we know him as what? Kepha, because his name literally means, that word Kepha means a covering. All right. Then we have Andrew, his what? Oh, wait a minute. You mean tell me he called brothers? Like blood brothers? Sound kind of cliquish to me. Have you ever heard people say stuff like that? Like, you know what, them two over there, boy, they kind of close. They only hang out with each other. Did you know they were brothers? I'm trying to help somebody see something. Every time you look into a crowd of Hebrews and you see two of them hanging out with each other, that don't mean it's a clique. It could be the fact that they are brothers. Or in the case like me and Neville, that's my uncle. We ain't cliquish. That's my mama's brother. I want you to see that Yahushua, when he was calling men, called kinsmen more than one time. Right. It's important. We'll get to that later. All right. Not only does he call Peter and Andrew his brother, who else do we have? Do y'all know his name in Hebrew? Ooh, y'all so smart. What'd you say? Yaakov. Now you know the European. That's why I told you we're taking our book back. We're not asking for permission. I don't want to see y'all begging. Can I please have it back, please? No. Just take it. You changed your code. Now, why is it important that you should have left your code in there? So that you can see that our people name their children after the patriarchs. Now, you can't go in the Old Testament nowhere and find James. That name come out of Europe. Am I making sense? If it makes sense that our people were naming folk after their ancestors, their patriarchs, would you put a 7 in this room to let me know you're rolling? I need to know that. I need you to know that. That one of the ways we stayed in touch with our lineage and one of the ways we honored our lineage was by naming our children after our patriarchs. 7's rolling through the screen right now as I speak. Hallelujah. We're on the same page. So we got James, son of Zebedee, and they say John, his brother. Does anybody know that name in Hebrew? Yahaka. Why did the European take our book and say, man, we're not saying Yahakanah. The people will know it's a tribe. See, in Europe, you could just say John. But if you see a European named Yahakanah, you'll be like, man, who your daddy really is? Where are you really from? Yes. These are tribal names, but they are, once again, we see what? James and John are, Yahakanah and Jacob are what? Brothers. Can you see how the mom and them did it too? Mom and dad named them? Yahakanah and Jacob. Why? They're brothers, twins. We learn later that these some bad boys too. But he once again calls a set of brothers. All right, now we have Philip and Bartholomew, which I don't want, this is your lesson. I'm not going to go through your lesson. But all of these names in their original, they mean something. They point to something. Philip and Bartholomew, Thomas and Matthew, the publican. You see that? Then you got another James, another Yahakanah, but this time, this is Yahakanah, son of who? Alphaeus. That's important to see that too. Why? Because Matthew is also the what? Son of Alphaeus. Did you see that last week? I know you brought that out. I'm trying to help Zion see something. That we see another set of brothers. So now we got two brothers, Philip and Bartholomew, we're not sure, but we know that Netanyahu, his real name was what? Levi was his birth name. And the way we know Levi is because Mark said that's Alphaeus' son. He was just going with the Netanyahu name. That was his government job name. Because you know the Romans, they want you to have a Roman sounding name. But he had a brother whose surname was, Alphaeus, Labius, whose surname was what? Thaddeus. Verse 4. Simon the, that's what I'll read this just to get here. Simon the what? Canaanite. You know, somebody said to me, they said, that doesn't mean he's a Canaanite. I said, but it says the Canaanite. Yeah, but he's not a Canaanite. It means Canaan, from Cana of Galilee. I said, all of them are from Cana of Galilee. They're all from Galilee, not from the same city, but they would not have made a distinction just from a region. This is a distinction on purpose to show what? To show that we have a Canaanite in the 12. Now, whether or not he was born into the Hebraic family, whether or not his parents, whether or not he moved and became however, we also know that Canaanite, the word Canaanite, was also related to the Canaanites who lived in the land. Because many Canaanites actually became part of the children of Israel. Ooh, if y'all know that we've got some Canaanites in our lineage, put an 11 in the room. Canaanites. So what is a Canaanite? It is the original residence of Canaan. Because all of the Canaanites didn't get kicked out of the land. Some of the Canaanites stayed. And I don't have time to deal with that, but there was a bunch of different tribes who were Canaanites. All right, now we need to see him. That's another assignment, different assignment. Now we got another Judas. We got another person. Judas who? Now, where do you think Iscariot comes from? You did this last week. What did you come up with? Called? Carry. Ish, meaning man of the town of what? Now, why is that important? I'm not going to redo this. This is not my message. I'm trying to rush through this. That's important because Kerioth was one of the places that Joshua conquered when moving into the promised land. Go back and read. I know that you probably brought that out. Go back and read the book of Joshua toward the end. When he starts to divide the places, one of those places was Kerioth. And it's very interesting play on words because that word literally has to do with a man who is an accountant. It means to take account of things. And it's interesting who Yahushua put over the money. We learn that later. He puts over the money the guy who's from the place that represents accounting. Because if it would have been us, we would have put, I'm just going to ask the question. Who would you have put over the money if you were calling these 12 based on their reputation? Of course, man, man, Levi would have been the right to us. And this dude had a job counting money. That was his government job. But Yah does something with Judas, and I'll deal with him on next week's lesson. Yahushua is doing something with Judas that we really got to pay attention to. I'll give you a hint. He's really giving this guy a chance. Because when you start talking on levels of trust, when you hand somebody the bag with all the money in it, you trust them. It's an act of trust. I read that list and I read these couple of verses, and this is what I came away with. I said, it looks like to me that when he got ready to call his disciples, he called ordinary men. Say this word with me. Say ordinary. Ordinary. They were just men. They was, I'll use the term Hebrews. But we don't see in this list anybody that has a title. Where is the king? Because you would think if our king was here, he would be calling kings to be his disciples. Where are the Pharisees? Aren't they the learned ones? Aren't they the ones that's supposed to know the text backward and forward? And yet on purpose, he overlooks every Pharisee. I heard there was thousands of them. He didn't call not one. At least at this time. How about scribes? The religious scribes. They're not in here. Where are the dukes? Where are the lords? Where are the college professors? In other words, you mean tell me he didn't call Aristotle, he didn't call Socrates? Huh? No who? No, he didn't call a priest. There's no Anna, there's no Annas, there's no Caiaphas. What's going on here? He's leapfrogging everybody that we would think should automatically be in. I'm not trying to go deep today. I'm going to keep this on the surface for y'all. I'm going to keep it shallow on purpose because I don't want you to think too deep. How many of you are still trying to figure out how you got called? I told you I got a cough, y'all got a hoe. Still trying to figure that out, like, wait. I'm the third one in the family. I'm not even close to being the smartest one. How come he called me? Somebody said, man, I come from a whole line of hoodlums, scoundrels. As a matter of fact, I got a little hoodlum and scoundrel in me. How did he call me? Do you get it? Some of y'all talking about you didn't finish high school, didn't finish college. Sure didn't call your professor, did he? The school president, the local judge, the chief of police. He didn't call none of them people. He's calling ordinary people. I want you all to turn with me quickly. Go over to 1 Corinthians chapter 1. We're going to get in there around in the 20s. Go to 1 Corinthians chapter 1. Yeah, here it is. Verse 26. Told you we was going to get in the 20s. Verse 26. Y'all ready? Roll with me there. Come on. Wait. You know what? I changed my mind. Start at 25. Because the foolishness of is wiser than men. Now we know that Yah is not foolish, so obviously he's talking in colloquial language. This is like, even if he would be foolish, his foolishness is smarter than the smartest man. That's what he's saying. Come on. And the weakness of Yah is what? He's saying, now we know Yah don't have any weakness, but if he did have weakness, it would be stronger than man. So what is his strength like? So he laying the foundation. Now watch verse 26. Come on. He says, for you see your calling. What do you mean? The fact that you're watching this video, the fact that you're studying Torah, the fact that your eyes are open, then it means you can see your calling. You can see that you've been called. Now watch what he says. Don't get mad at Shaul. He just telling the truth. Y'all ready? For you, come on. How that? Oh, wait, stop. Not many wise men. What you trying to say? What are you trying to say? So all y'all talking about you've been called. First thing I'll look at you and go, must not be too bright. Must not be too wise. Because it's very seldom he calls what we would call a wise person. Do you know why it's difficult for him to call a wise person? Come on. What? He said, because you can get an education and be an educated fool. You can be wise in your own eyes. And in order to actually be a good disciple, you have to be willing and humble to give up what you think is wisdom, to receive what he has as wisdom. So we said not too many wise. Not too many wise men after the flesh. So we know he's talking about, as I said, earthly wisdom. But wait, not many, come on, mighty. That word for mighty has to do with the power of wealth. I know y'all looking around right now going, makes sense again. How many of you all are billionaires? How many of y'all millionaires? I'm not talking about with million shillings that take 15,000 of them to make $2. I'm talking about with US dollars. How many of y'all millionaires? How come he's not calling all the millionaires? The ones that got power of persuasion by their economic strength and might and robust. Have you ever wondered why the majority of the people who get called is struggling financially? I'm not going deep. I want you to see it, even though this shallow is deep. Because, watch this, we got a picture of him calling a rich person. It wasn't like he had a problem against rich people. He called one. I've done this. When you go over to chapter 19 of the same book, and I think it's the same in Luke, you're going to find Luke and Matthew both record there was a man who came to him. He was rich. And one passage say, and Yehoshua, looking on him, loved him. Which means he ain't got a problem. It's not that it's that the rich people have a problem. What is the rich problem? Come on, what's the rich man's problem? It's his money. His riches are the problem. Just like a wise man, according to his own wisdom, according to the flesh, his wisdom becomes a problem. So when you got riches, according to the flesh, then your riches become a problem. So he said, look, brethren, look around. Hey, everybody in this room, how many of them in here? Ask your neighbor, are you a millionaire? Come on, y'all in here? Y'all got money hidden? Well, they looking at me laughing like, Maury, come on, man, you know. If anybody online know what I'm talking about, that he didn't call only wealthy people to follow him. Put a 21 in this room, and I need you to do that in a hurry because I'm trying to I'm laying a foundation. Because every now and then, them 21's coming already. Because every now and then, I have to be reminded of something as a more. And this is why I, on purpose, took up the offering early. Because I know what some people think I'm going to preach a sermon trying to get money out of people. So I said, no, I'm not going to do that. How about I take up the money first, and then I'll do the offering, then I'll do the message so you know that that's not my goal. I'm just trying to bring out a truth. The reason why we have to continue over and over again ask for support is because ain't too many of us got no money. You know, all we would need is about 2 or 3 millionaires. I ain't talking about somebody who just made $1 million. That's new money. That's fresh money. That's going to be gone as soon as you throw your first party. I'm not talking to you. I'm talking to the real wealthy people. They could write one check and undergird this whole effort to reach the world and to reach the people in the awakening. I'm talking about 1 or 2 people could write a check and solve all of the economic problems. But he's not calling them. And I think one of the reasons that he's not calling so many of them is so that all of us who don't have that type of financial power and strength and robust can learn how to trust him. And to take the little that we have and place it in his hand. I learned that as a child. My mama used to say, little becomes much when it's placed in the master's hand. I'll give you another reason why a lot of wealthy people are not called. It's because they feel as though their wealth should be able to wield extra power in the fellowship. Because they're used to doing it. They used to going into the restaurant and buy their presents. Everybody like, what seat would you like? What seat would you like? Y'all get up, get up, get up. You see so-and-so's here. This is his seat. So they figure that same thing gonna happen in the fellowship. But then they come to the ark and ain't nobody moving. We like, shalom, shalom, ark. But if it's full, he gonna be standing there. I ain't caring about your money. And that insults people with money. They always want to wield their power. Person say, you know, I'm one of the biggest supporters. I feel like you feel like you what? Please don't tell me you feel like you should have more influence than Kyle, than Uncle Neville, than Elvoice. Because when we realized we was family, we all realized we were what? In this thing. Come on. 10% is 10%. And whether it come from a millionaire, a billionaire, or watch this, a tenionaire. I just made it one. So she would say that's his group, he the tenionaires. That's why Yah don't acquire offerings based on amounts. He always deals according to the percentage that you have. As a person is blessed, as he's being prospered. Right? Okay, one more. He says, not many mighty, that's what that word means. And the last one, not many, what's the last word? Noble. That represents national leadership. Nations. That is strange to me. Because if you would be honest, the people you would think would know this information and be willing to teach it should be the people that have direct access to it. Y'all do know the king. Let me pull that up for y'all. Y'all do know, like, I'm just gonna bring out, let's just say England, just because we talking. Let's just say England. You do know that the English have all our stuff right. They got our history. They have all the records of our geography, our geology. They know where where am I at? Where's 20? What verse did I leave off on? Oh, 26. They can easily go to the archives and some of them libraries and schools and universities, pull up the truth and teach it to their nations. But we found out in Psalm that there is a confederacy against the children of Yah. That the kings of the earth have all agreed on. They might fight over the oil, they might fight over some coal, they might fight over some diamonds, but one thing they're not fighting on, we ain't telling them Negroes who they are. We all in agreement with that, right? They like in a huddle, like, ready, break. You know what I mean? They in agreement. We're not telling them their language. We're not telling them who they really are. We're not going to tell them of their brilliance. We're not going to tell them of their ancestral line. We are all going to agree that wherever they are, they will be the bottom. As a matter, y'all know I'm recording with my phone, right? This go out worldwide. You can't call me while I'm teaching. I'm using my phone. you know, I'll be teaching somebody and be thinking like, man, you made a good point. Let me call him. I'm on. Oh, this is live. Oh, shoot, where was I? Oh, there is a confederacy against you to wipe your name out, to remove you as a nation. That's why they tell you, you really are not a nation. You're just individuals. No, you really are a nation, but they've all agreed. So it's hard, it would be difficult for the nobility class to follow Yah, because it would represent having to give up their confederation. And they would end up having to become lowly little old Hebrews like me and you. They ain't having it. Now I spent a lot of time letting you see that, because in verse 27, let's go to verse 27. It says, but Yah has chosen the what? I'm sorry, y'all. I didn't write this. But some of y'all told me you was called. So now, when I read this, after you told me that he calls you, now I'm looking at you like, so you wanted the foolish thing. Because that's what the text says. I'm going to show you in the text in a moment. We're going back to Matthew, but I want to show you that this is a truth. Yah on purpose have chosen the foolish things of the world to do what? To stop their mouths. They can't believe it. Right now, the powers that be, the wise of this world, are in shock when they see you that they consider just a black man, black woman. No background, you ain't got no heritage, no culture, no ancestry. They are shocked when you talking about shalom and know what it means. Todah Rabbah and know what it means. Yahuwah, know what it means. Like, how did they? We see one another now. It ain't, we don't say, what's up, Trigger? Y'all know what I mean, right? Because we were saying that. Now it's Shalom Aki. Shalom Akoti. They look at us and go, okay. Who? Because I know that person didn't graduate from high school. This person is broke. I know I'm keeping them broke. This person right here come from a family of everybody was in prison, including him. This person was this, that person was that, and now they talking about they know Hebrew. They're calling each other brother. I thought we had divided them. Now we got folk that was hanging blue rags, green rags, and red rags from their pockets. Done got rid of the rag. Now they wearing ZZs. They're trying to figure it out because Yah is taking what the world considered to be the foolish things and giving us information that we are able to process. Watch this. Faster and more correct than they are able to process. That's why I said we're taking the book back. They held our book in their hand, especially the English. When you're talking about the 1500s, you're talking about 500 years. And what did they come away with? Paint everybody white, including Adam. Y'all made the Egyptians white. You, Brennan. Y'all made Moses white. What is the man? Charleston Heston was Moses. Cleopatra? What's the woman name? Elizabeth Taylor is Cleopatra, the black Nubian queen. Give us. No, we ain't asking. We taking our book. We got to take it back. Because you done made Solomon white. You done changed everybody's name. I want y'all to see something. It is the nobility class that feels like they have the right and the power to do those things. So what Yah has to do, he has to leapfrog them and get his information in his book. Out of their hands and back into the hands of the people that they think are fools. I ain't done. And Yah has chosen that's the broke, the weak things. Those are the broke people. You're talking about weak economically. You don't have power economically to change and do things. Remember, we dealt with the mighty. So the mighty, this is the opposite of the mighty. So he's choosing the weak things. To do what? He says of the world to confound the things that are mighty. Verse 28. And the base things of the world. That's the bottom. Which are what? Despised. Everywhere you go, you're despised. Everywhere. Trip me out. Anywhere in America, despised. I didn't even know this about my Mexican brethren. I'm going to talk to them in a little while. I didn't know they made fun of black people. We despised in Mexico. Y'all got your nerve. You got taken over by the Spanish. They stole your heritage and your language and your culture and gave you theirs of the conquistador. And y'all got a problem with us. Guess what? I found out this last week. My brother Yacob Yacob from, he's watching, I'm sure, from down south. He called me, he's an African. He's Nigerian. He said, I want to share something with you that they're not going to tell you about what our people tell each other. I said, what do they tell each other? They despise you Hebrews. I said, what are you talking about? He said, they have a name for the people that they call black Americans. It's an African word that means animal. I said, wait. We despised in Nigeria? We despised in the Congo? I ain't mad at nobody, but man, in Uganda, Mozambique, how is that possible? So when you go over there, don't marry them. You don't see too many, quote unquote, what y'all call African people. You don't see a lot of African folk marrying what they call African American people. I'm using those terms because y'all know I don't believe that. Because they have a term for you. You're despised. Go to China. They despise you in China. How is that possible? I saw a commercial. I know y'all gonna think I'm lying, but I'm not. They had a commercial of a black man. They used a black man. It was a clothes commercial. And this black man had came in the house or whatever, and he was next to a Chinese woman, and she was panicking because he was black. So then she washed him and he turned Chinese. Then they hugged and kissed each other. Please tell him. Maury ain't making that up. When I talk about you being the base, it ain't my words. I'm telling you that Yah is choosing the base. Because you're his real people. Now we'll get into that later. How did you become the base? That's a whole nother discussion. Because you didn't start off the base. All right. He has chosen the base things of the world. Things which are despised, Yah has chosen. Yeah. And the things which are not, to bring to naught. That's a pretty way of saying, and the folk that ain't nothing. He has chose to bring to nothing everything that you see right now. Guess who's getting ready to expose the lie of the whole world? You and me. The nothings are getting ready to bring down the somethings. It's going to happen. Now, I'm going to stop here. And I want to get back in this Matthew, then I'm done for today. I told you we're just going to stay on the surface. We're not going deep. I want to show you something, that word called. Let's go back to Matthew chapter 10, verse 1. Incredible passage. Matthew chapter 10, I want to give you this word and then we'll be out. You know, I normally don't deal with Greek definitions because they are not Hebraic. They're not they're not accurate. But I do need to talk about the grammar, because in this line there's some grammar you need to see. And in the Greek you can see it where it says, and having summoned. Did you see that? In the King James it said he called. But here, the word summon, and you see the first part of this word, proskalesemenos. That is the idea of summons. But the first part of it, P-R-O. Do you see that? P-R-O? That is very important because pro means toward. And the reality of this verse is that the people he calls, he doesn't call them to a church. He really doesn't call them to a ministry. If you really click on that word to try to understand it, the usage would be, I call to myself. It's the summoning of a king to his subjects. And I need to let you all know this worldwide. I'm going to show you the Hebrew behind this, but I need you to see this grammar because that's very important to understand. Many people talk about they're called to the work, or you're called to the church, or you're called to the ministry. But here is a part, the major part of the call that I think all of us are missing. We are, number one, called to him. I said to him. We are called to him. We are called to him. A parent can summon a child. Let's say the child is cleaning up the yard. And you say, we name our children. I'm just gonna say Levi. Levi, come here. Right? And let's say he don't come, but he's cleaning up the yard. He keeps cleaning. Now, he's supposed to clean the yard, right? But you called him. I think you get my point. So you say, Levi, come here. And he starts cleaning up faster. Now we're going, boy. I said, come here. So the question, I know that sounds funny, but I think it's helping you understand something. Levi's loyalty is not supposed to be to the work of cleaning the lawn. His loyalty, his allegiance has to be to his father. That when he calls, the calling of the dad supersedes the work of the field. Did you catch that? And here is, Speedy, I promise this is one of my problems. In the work, I'm starting to see, and I mentioned this in my little short devotional last night, I'm starting to see a problem among Hebrews. It seems that we're getting more devoted to tzitzits and food and feast days than we are to him. In other words, we are bringing the attitudes of church into our Hebraic walk. In other words, preacher, just tell me how I'm not going to hell. So in church, the answer was, confess with your mouth, believe in your heart, you good. So in Hebrew, they're starting to do the same thing. Because the Hebrew just want to know, how do I get to heaven? Oh, don't eat pigs, don't eat shrimp, and keep the commandments. What do we say? Keep the feast days. Oh, so now I don't feel obligated to him because I've jumped through the hoops that's going to earn me salvation. Does that make sense? So all of a sudden, there is now a lack of study. I got the pig thing down, the shrimp thing down, the feast days thing down. So why should I keep digging? Why should I keep studying? Why should I keep learning? I'm good, ain't I, More? And I'm like, no, you're not good. If you are not called to him. The call, I'm showing it to you in Hebrew. I want you to see the grammar, because it doesn't necessarily say that in English. But he's not calling these men just to be calling them. He's summoning them. It's a summons. So here's the key. In one book, I think it's Luke, says he prayed all night before he did this. Matthew didn't mention that. But he prayed. And Yah is the one who gave him his disciples. That's why when you read John, he says, Father, thine they were. Why? Because they belonged to Yah first. And then Yah gave them to Yahushua, which is really himself. And when Yahushua had completed the work, he then gave them back to Yah. If you understand that, put a 50 in this room with the quickness, because we can't move forward unless you understand something about the summons. The summons will call you out of something, away from something. I wish y'all would listen to me. The summons, man, to have you all messed up. You like, go where, do what, huh? Because you thought you was working. I'm cleaning the grass. I ain't tell you that right now. I'm calling you. And I wish I had time, but I don't, to take you to the end all. The call of Yahuwah to you and to me is ultimately a call to come and die. That's the ultimate end. And in the flesh, you cannot process that. I mean, what am I do that for? I thought he just wanted me to feed hungry people. I didn't know he wanted me to put my life on the line. I mean, I was working on the tithe thing. You know, I was working up. I started at 2%. Now I'm at 8%. I'm almost at 10%. You think that's what he called you for? The 10th is a beginning. Do you know what the end is? All. The end game is all of you. All of my money, all of my time, all of my thoughts. That just like in the old days where in Moses' time the thoughts of men were only evil continually, the call of Yah to us is that our thoughts will be only righteous continually. Don't raise your hand in this room. I don't want to embarrass nobody. But how many of y'all right now know there are rooms or compartments in your life you still haven't given up the key to the king of your life? There's doors you got. And you got the whole, you know, and you act like you gave him all the keys. You can have the key to this, yeah, and this. And he like, y'all got some more keys? Come on. You're like, no, you can't have this. So you know what we often try to do? We often try to make up for that by working faster. Staying more busy. Hey man, it's not the first call. The first call is to me. You got to give up everything. Come to me. Matter of fact, let me put this out there. If you're not willing to do that, you can't even be my disciple. So just put that out. Now, when we get to that verse, y'all going to see it so clear when we finally get there in Matthew, where he says, if you're not willing to do that, you can't even be in my class. Man, Maury, I didn't know he was going to get into this. I thought we were just going, no, we got to get into this. Voice, I know this is true. That's why I practice dying every day. And Maury, no, you don't. Yes, I do. Every day I think about, is this it? How should I be living? What should I be doing? And then I'm telling myself, you're wrong all the time. Don't be no punk now. Don't be no punk. Don't be no punk. Be strong. Why? I know this call is a call. I I know what the end game is. I've read the record. So when he gets ready to call, he has to call people who are willing to empty all of themselves out. And that's one of our problems. We like, nah, I think I'm going to hold on to some stuff. But he chooses people. Now, I was talking about he chooses ordinary people. Let's get to this Hebrew word and I'm going to let y'all go. We've been up here long enough. Ooh, we over. My goodness. All right, let's get to these words in Hebrew. The word for summons in Hebrew, the first word I want you to put down is ya'ad. 3259 in Hebrew. Let's see if I can. I don't know if I can do it on the board. But those of you who can, let's see, I might be able to. Is there a way to do it? Oh, maybe if I put strong.
It's still set for green.
Huh? I want to see if I can do it online. I just want to show y'all something. If I can't, I can just tell you. The first one is ya'ad. And that has to do with, these are your definitions. I'm just going to give them to you. It means to appoint. And it has to do with primarily appointing a particular time. So it's the appointment time. Like when someone says, you need to make your appointment. You know that to get an appointment, you need to know the time. So one of our words for call in Hebrew is the word ya'ad, and it's 3259. I'm going to see if I can pull it up. 3259. Because I don't know how to work this program. Where is it? Oh, I did. 32. Oh, there it is. Huh? Oh, put an H. Oh, H. 3259. Ooh, I need somebody else to help me with this. That's all right. I think I'm getting deeper and deeper. Oh, here we go. Strong's number. There we go. Let's try it right here. H. 32. Oops. 59. All right, that's all right. That's all right. I ain't worried about it. All right, the first one is ya'ad, means to appoint, assign, but it also has to do with the word, write this down, to designate. You want to try it? Yeah. It has to do to designate. So these men are not only being summoned to him at a particular time, but he's getting ready to designate. Do you know what that word means? He's getting ready to give. There it is. I mean, I don't know how to put it on the board. I got it. I got the definitions. I don't know how to put them on the board overhead. It has to do with making an appointment, but to designate means you're getting ready to get a job, a specific thing to do. But your first loyalty is to me, and then once you understand your relationship with me, now I can give you a task. Because the task doesn't start, the call doesn't start with the task. The call starts with the relationship. This is the whole duty of man according to Ecclesiastes chapter 12, verse 13. He says to fear Yah, which means you got to get to know him. You need to know who he is first. Then he says to keep his mitzvah. Whatever he tells you to do, then do it. It's easy once you understand who he is. Then you're going to do it. So that word means to make an appointment or to meet together. The second word for call in Hebrew, which is very interesting, is also our word Shema, which is 8085, which means to hear. So not only is there a call from Yah to these men, but these men are ordered to hear, which also means to obey it. Anybody talking about Yah's calling me? Stay up here if you can. I only got a couple more words. Anybody talking about Yah's calling me, but I ain't gonna respond? You have no idea who's calling you. Are you really getting ready to write your story like that? I told somebody the other day, this is a involuntary, voluntary, no draft, but you're gonna get drafted anyway relationship. Did you hear what I said? There's not a draft, but you're gonna get drafted. And you have to volunteer, but if you don't, you're gonna get called anyway. I told you that Judas is an interesting character. We'll get to him in a moment. Because even in his rebellion, he had to do what? He died. Once you receive the call, you either in or you're out, but either way, you're gonna die. Prayerfully, if you get a chance to live your old age out, hallelujah. But don't think that's guaranteed. All right, Shema means to, of course, to pay attention to. All right, and to hear, but it also means a summons. So when Yah says, "Hear, O Israel," he's summoning them as the king to himself. He tells them what? Yah, he talks about himself, is one. Why? Because the first call is to him. All right? The next word is the word kara. Kara. This word is the word to proclaim. And it's not necessarily what we're dealing with in this particular passage, but I just want to put this out there because those that are called of Yah will then proclaim the message of Yah. Which of course you can use the word to shout and to scream or to share the message. And then the last one is the word amet. 533. It represents mighty or to strengthen. Now that's interesting that we have this Hebrew word that represents summons and it also means to strengthen at the same time. Yeah, take it. Here you go. 533. 553. Oh, 553. You know that dyslexia thing be killing me. This word is interesting because it has the word, you see it, oh good, you see it on the word. So you see strong, courage, courageous, hard, speed, stronger and all that. Why is that so powerful in this text? Go back to Matthew now, chapter 10, verse 1, and let's see if these words go together Hebraically. And then I'm out of their way. Let's see if they go together Hebraically. Go ahead. Matthew 10, verse 1.
Yep.
Read it.
Yah, that also had to do with being betrothed.
Oh, being betrothed. Oh, that's deep too. Wow. Called into a relationship like that, an intimate relationship. That's gold. That's deep. All right, let's go back to that word. When he called his 12, it says, and he gave them what? Power. Or authority. He strengthened them. Do you see the Hebraic word, how it worked together? That when he called them, he then strengthened them. Because one of our words for to call means to strengthen. And why does he have to strengthen them in the call? Because they're weak. We already read that in Corinthians. He doesn't call the strong. He calls the weak and then what? Strengthens them. That's kind of what us so-called preachers are supposed to do. When we preach and the call goes out to Zion, those that are weak in the faith and in the walk should hear the words of Yah through the Torah and through the preacher, and those words ought to give them some kind of encouragement, some kind of strength. Now, why do you need the strength? I'm going to give it to you right now. Because you're going to have to do some stuff you've never done before. Let's look at that again. And he gave it, what version is this? That's all right, I'll use it for now. He called his 12 disciples to him, and then he gave them power. So the first thing he did is call them, then he gave. He calls, then gives. Why do they need power? They need power because they are going to now operate in realms, on levels that they have never, ever operated on before. Now we're talking about the call from Yah, not the call from the president, not the call from the city councilman. We don't care about them calls. That's earthly, fleshy calls. When our King calls, he calls us, he summons us to him because he's getting ready to do something through us that we cannot do without him. And everything in this list is above your pay grade. You can't heal nobody. I had a problem with a brother. We went round and round and round and fussing about this, man. And finally, I just stopped talking because he was blind. He could not see what I was trying to tell him. I said, stop telling people you have the power of healing. You're not the healer. Man, I'm the healer, man. Just call me, man. I'm the one that can. No, you're not. You can be a vessel that he will give that power to, watch this, so that that power can go through. He's the healer. Healing is above our pay grade. Boy, if I had the power to heal, I'd be running through all the hospitals, especially Valley Children's. Every floor. Get up, 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 get up. Go play, go play, go play, go play, go play, go play. Everybody good? And that's what I told him to do. You got the power of healing. Don't tell me. Go to Valley Children's. If you're not going there, don't talk to me about what you can do. Did that make sense in this room? Yah's the healer. And I'm glad. Because that means if you don't like me, you can't kill me until he wants me dead. Because some of y'all had the gift of healing and I got sick, you would never get me well. The power in life and death is not in your tongue. Hallelujah. Because y'all know you'd be saving all of your friends and family and come to one of your enemies, you'd be like, That's why it ain't yours. If that makes sense, put a 100 in this room. He's calling you to equip you because you're going to operate in a level that's above you. So, to heal all kinds of sicknesses. And what else? Disease. Now that particular word is different also. That is the idea of being crippled or being halted. Dis-ease. It could be a result of a disease, but it also can be a result of an accident. It could be the result of a like in the story with Yah and the man that was born and he was laid at the pool his whole life. He didn't say he had a particular sickness, but from his mother's womb, dis-ease. He said, this is what I'm getting ready to do to y'all. I'm getting ready to give you power over that. Now, some of y'all minds is like, wait, so that's real? Yeah. But it's above you. Your mind is locked. We have to unlock your mind. And the only person that can really do that is Hamashiach. Because for some of us, we don't even know it's possible. Therefore, when you watch Hamashiach doing these things of what? Healing. Didn't we already watch him heal? Cast out demons and all that, right? We saw him do it. Once we see him do it, it then opens the possibilities. Because we didn't even know it could be done. Every time he would do a great healing, up to this point in the book of Matthew, people will say, man, I ain't never seen that. I ain't seen nothing like that. So he's getting ready to call them to do the same thing. I mean, he's calling them or summoning them and giving them the power to do the same exact thing. Let me give you the word give in Hebrew. Anybody know it right off the top of your head? Yes. Huh? Oh, that is one word. That's not the one I have, but yes. I have the word here, which is Av. Believe it or not, when you do research on this verse, we see the idea of Av. Het bet. That's the root of the word. Het bet. It means to give or to supply. And one of the things, one of the nuances to this Hebrew word is it also means to burden. So you give someone something, supply something, but it also means to load a person with something. You know, like if I'm giving you like supplies, and you have to carry these supplies to the house. And one of our words for Av is the English word love. It's connected to the root of this. Because love, Hebraically, has the same root as to give. Which means it's not just a feeling, it's an action. So what are these disciples called to do? First, they're called to Yah, right? They're called to him. And then he, by an act of what you would call love, gives them the authority to, watch this, heal the house. He gives them the authority to cast the demons out of the house. Because when you're healing the house and you're casting the devils out of the house, you are strengthening the family or the kingdom. Does that make sense? The house is sick. So what are you being called to do? Are you being called to be a superstar? No. You're being called to heal the house. You're being called to supply to the house what's missing. And you say, well, how can I do that? I don't have nothing. We know. He said, I'm going to give it to you. I'm going to give you what? I'm going to give you the power. I'm going to give you the authority. Zion, the house of the Hebrews, is messed up. And everything that's messed up about the house is not physical. There's a lot of spiritual and mental and emotional problems in the house. So Yah has to call some people. Well, who's he going to call? Well, he can't call a professor of sociology or psychology, because all he going to say is, you got penis in me from your daddy, or you hate your mama, or stretch out on this couch and tell me all your problems. That's not what we need, Zion. You can't call the wealthy, because the wealthy only have one answer to everything. Throw some more money at it. We've been just throwing money and stuff thinking that the problem is going to go away. Money don't solve all problems. In a very real sense, money has created a lot of problems for our people. We tried to sing about it in the day, but nobody wanted to hear it. They said, for the love of money, people will sell their own brother. For the love of money, a woman will sell her own body. Don't let money. Didn't we try to talk about it back in the day? We can't hear none of our preachers, none of our prophets. We don't listen to nothing they say. You're talking about people who watched it. They didn't know how to preach it. They couldn't get in no pulpit, so they just wrote it in lyrics to try to tell you. Don't let it fool you. But that's all the powerful can do. They just throw some more money at it, and it don't work. Hatred grows. Envy grows. Insecurity grows. You're called to him, then he gifted you with the authority to strengthen the house. Why do we need this? You guys have been here long enough, I'm going to let you go now. Why do we need this? Number one, opposition against our king is growing. In Matthew chapter 10, he goes from being hero to now the Pharisees and scribes have now launched opposition against him to kill him. And as the opposition grows, as any other leader, powerful military leader or king, he's now calling to himself men of valor that he can trust to carry on the fight when he's gone. But that made sense. Put a 500 in this room. Calling men that'll say, I'm in this with you. Say, man, you know this is to the death, man. Whatever, let's do this. Dude, you understand, man? Like, I ain't got nowhere to stay. I don't know where I'm staying from day to day. Say, and you had one brother. You remember that one scribe? He was like, I'll go with you wherever you go. He said, well, I don't have no place to stay. And he was like, well, I ain't going. But his disciples was like, man, if you sleep on the mountain tonight, I'm sleeping right next to you. If we in the valley, we in the valley. If we on the boat, we on the boat. If we hungry, we hungry. If we in a storm, we in a storm. So he's choosing his right-hand man. And this is what I try to tell you. They're ordinary. Go through the list. Farmers, people that work at the IRS, couple shepherds, the most unlikely people, people like you, people like me, fishermen, tax collectors. He even had one guy who was a freedom fighter. He was a zealot. You know that freedom fighter. Every group, every Hebrew got that guy. We got two freedom fighters sitting around an ex-Black Panther and an ex-Muslim sitting right at that back table right there. Freedom fighters, something in them. They've always had something for their people. Y'all said, Yeshua said, I can use that. Come on. I like that zeal. Some of our young men on the street corners that's cussing people out and stuff. I don't like the cussing out people. But that zeal thing that they got, I kind of like that. Because while you around here playing video games and just talking about doing something, these fellas out here literally doing something. I don't like the cussing out part, I told you. They got some weird doctrine. I'm just talking about that zeal though. Brother was teaching, man. That European got in his face, he said, shut up. You've been talking too much, too long. It's my turn now. I said, ooh, I like that. I'm not talking about disrespecting, no, I'm just talking about the fact that this kid didn't care about nobody. You're going to need that kind of boldness. It just needs to be directed properly. It is our time. What are you talking about? The base things are now confounding the wise. Let me keep going. He had to use them to change the world. Why? Because you've got to get people that's not afraid to break the status quo. Did y'all catch that? You got to get people that are not afraid to break out of the matrix. That's going to take the red pill and be like, of course. Say, man, you can't never come back. Hey, I ain't got nothing to come back to. I didn't tell y'all this. I was a fisherman, but my boat had a hole in it. I was going to leave that thing over there anyway. Can I say it like this? We didn't have nothing to lose. Even Paul, who was one of these elite, even though he don't tell you this, Paul as an elite, Shaul, said himself, when I finally met him, I started thinking about all that I had and who I was and the things I've accomplished. He said, man, that stuff looking like dung. Which comes out of the back of a bull. I'm doing so good. Nobody clapped for me or nothing. I didn't do no cussing, none of that. That was actually good. It came out. Man, the kids didn't have to, parents didn't have to say, Maury, no, that came out. That came out really good. Thank you, man. I'm getting better. But he looked at all of his accomplishments. He would say, man, it's like dumb. Why? In other words, I'm out here. I ain't got nothing left. I'm all on him now. All right, so he has going to use them to change the world. Why was he going to use them versus the people of power and of money and influence? Because, write this down, the ordinary people will not take the credit. Because everybody knows them. They know your mama and your daddy. How you going to take the credit? And you're an ordinary person. Some of y'all didn't get no straight A's in school, and yet you're learning Hebrew. How are you taking credit for that? Yah is doing that for you. Some of you all, like me, I have a natural fear of public speaking. Nobody believes that. My wife saw it for the first time, like last year. She said, you really don't like to speak in public? I said, no, son, I'm not a public speaker. Y'all called me to do this. And every time I pick up a microphone or stand behind a lectern or sit behind a desk to do what I'm doing, that's him. When I go to places, I don't even like being in the front. I don't want anybody to recognize me and say, would you stand and have a few words? I'll be like. But when he calls you out of your comfort zone, and he gives you the power to do what he has to do. Why? Because you and I, normal everyday people, have a story to tell. Let me shut it down. You've been so kind. World ain't gonna change. People are not gonna be healed. Demons are not gonna be cast out until we come to one realization. He's using you to do it. For the last 3 weeks, I've told you the same line. Most of us are praying for him to do something when he's trying to tell you to do it. Oh yeah, go down to the jailhouse. He said, I told you to go visit the ones in prison. Yeah, go down to the hospital. Yeah, please go down to the hospital. He's like, I told you to visit the sick. Y'all, if you would be so kind to put food on that hungry man's table. Y'all said, I told you to go feed the hungry. You need to do it. You need to be obedient to him. Because the power of your testimony is what's going to allow you or enable you to overcome in these last days. You have a testimony that people need. They need to know not only your good, they also need to know your struggles. You ain't got to put all your business in the street, but quit acting like you the noble. Quit acting like you the wisest. Quit acting like you was always balling. Hebrew, I remember when you were stealing Cheetos. So stop acting like you was always balling. See, my uncle's in the room and Speedy, my brother's in the room. I can't act like I was always balling, and he know we made go-karts out of old broken down lawnmowers and edges because we didn't have no money to, you know what I'm saying? To buy nothing out of no store. I don't even know what that was. Buy a go-kart out the store for rent? No. Yeah. I'm just making a point. So when Yah uses you and you're an ordinary person, then the other ordinary people that he's trying to use can relate to you.
Good. Good.
He could have gave it to the stars, I told you, because they have a story to tell. But the stars can only tell one side of the story. The only side they can tell is, he put me up here and told me to shine. And I've been shining ever since. He said, man, you ain't never took no days off shining? No. You ain't never lied? No. You ain't never stole nothing? No. Oh, I just been shining every day. So you've been perfect. I don't know if I can talk to you because you don't know what it's like to be imperfect. He could have gave it to the wind. Say, wind, why don't you be the witness for me throughout the whole world? And wind said, yeah, I got a testimony. I got a testimony. He says, I've been blowing everywhere he lists ever since he made me. Say, man, I blow over a cornfield and make it right. I'll blow down into the country village. There's a crack in the window, and baby girl is sick of a fever. Y'all told me go in there and cool her down. Said, when have you ever disobeyed him? No, one time I kind of got out of control, but he said, shut up. And I stopped immediately. Said, well, Win, I don't know if you're going to be the perfect. I don't know if you're going to be the perfect example. I need to talk to somebody else. Son, why don't you, I need to talk to you, son. Son, why don't you testify? Because people need to hear the gospel. Son said, well, I only got one side of the gospel. Ever since that fourth day, I've been shining. I've been doing my job. So you never blew it? No, man, please. Just because y'all don't know the Creator, don't mean I don't know the Creator. Say, well, who else? Well, what about you, Moon? He said, I've been keeping time. Trees. Pine tree said, let me talk. Say, okay, pine tree, why don't you testify to the world? He said, okay, as a pine tree, let me give you my testimony. Say, man, I start off as a little bitty old pine seed, and I grow straight up, and I can stay green. In the summer. In other words, my surroundings, my situations and circumstances don't change my internal disposition. That's why they call me evergreen. Say, well, what's your testimony? He says, when everything else is falling, I can stand. Say, well, what about the trees that do fall? He said, oh, I need to explain that to you. The trees that are evergreens that fall, let me tell you why they fall. They fall because they're sick. Well, how do you know that? Because Yah sends snow. And, watch this, the strong trees are able to hold the snow on both sides. So when the weight comes, we just stand strong. And then when the snow melts, hey, we still here. But the weak trees, when that same storm hits, it puts the snow on the tree on one side and it's too heavy. So my testimony is, I'm strong. I'm so strong that even when I die standing up. Say, that's a good testimony, but I don't know if I can relate to that. Because I don't think my life is evergreen. I can do this with everything. How about birds? Bird's testimony is so cold-blooded. Say, bird, what's your testimony? Well, I can fly and I ain't never had flying lessons. Now, what's your job? Wake up, sing praises to the Most High, and go down and pick up my food. That's it? That's your job? Pretty much. Don't you have a Heavenly Father? Don't you wake up every single day and sing praises and then go get your food? Say, man, bird, you put me to shame. Because I should be more. Wait a minute. Grass. That's the last testimony. Grass, how about your testimony? Why don't y'all just use grass to reach the world? Grass said, well, ever since he planted me, I've been sustaining all life on planet Earth. It all starts with me. I said, man, how do you survive? He said, well, I got this unique ability that when weather changes and things are severe, I send my roots underground and tell them go dormant. And they'll lay there for months and months and months, years and years and years, just waiting for one thing. What? A little bit of water. He said that every time I do my job and come back up, you know what Yah blesses me with? Say what? He said he puts clothes on my back. Clothes? Yeah, you see them dandelions, daffodils, snapdragons, hollyhock. Those are my clothes. You see? Man, he sure dressed you pretty. Yeah, because I'm always obedient. Well, I'm not always obedient like you, grass. So why would y'all use me? Because I can relate to you. You can relate to me. We can help strengthen each other. Not big I, little you. Not I'm always shining and never dark. Not I'm always right and never wrong. Not I'm always green and never brown. No! All of us sometimes up. I feel something here. I gotta let it go. Sometimes down. All of us. Sometimes right. Sometimes wrong. All of us. But he's never left us. And he's still working with us. They told me back when I was a child, I said, please be patient with me. I said, Yah's not through with us yet. He's calling us first to himself. And he's going to make of us what he wants to make us. To do what he wants us to do. Hallelujah. I feel like talking about my king, so I'm going to talk about it. If y'all done, hallelujah, but I got to talk about it. Do you know he was so obedient to Abba Yah that even when it came to dying, the most terrible death of crucifixion, he told the Father, not my will, but yours be done. That's a call, ain't it? That's a serious acceptance of a call. When all of your friends leave you and forsake you, and you're in a garden all by yourself, and in his case had done nothing wrong, and yet he dies on your behalf and mine. But he knew something we don't know. Death is an enemy, but death ain't the end. Death got some power, but death don't have all power. And one day death itself is going to be killed. That's that last enemy. So he went on and died. The right for the wrong, the good for the bad, the holy for the unholy, the straight for the crooked. But death couldn't kill him. Buried him, grave, couldn't hold him, got up with all power and said, as the Father has sent me, even so send I you. So guess what? You and I, if we call to him first, we got our own cross to bear. Are we going to be able to handle it? I promise I'm going all the way. All the way. All the way. All the way. If I falter, wow, I'm struggling. Don't be angry. Just let me stay. Because I'm willing. I'm willing to go. How far you going? Already? All the way. Back in the day, they say all the way. I can't quit now. Old folks said I'm going to take nothing from my journey now. I heard another person say I'm too close to turn around. I get that. Too close. He calls ordinary people. He's calling you. The question, will you respond to his call? Bow your heads, please. Let's pray. Abaya, Toda Rabbah, that you even sought to call us at all. Brothers and sisters, not the most wise, the most mighty, the most powerful, the greatest reputation. No, fishermen, tax collectors. Just normal people, farmers, workers. He called us to you. First, we know in next week's lesson, you give us power because you're going to send us to do the work of the kingdom. And that work is greater than us. So we yield ourselves to you, that your power can work through us to heal the house of Israel. Hallelujah. 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 One more. Hallelujah. Hallelujah. Amen. Amen. Shalom. Shalom, shalom to the 12 tribes worldwide. Ooh, I'm feeling good. I've been sick all week. Y'all just don't know. I can't believe I made it through this without coughing and stuff. Hallelujah. Hallelujah. Support the work of the ARK. Those of you watching, Shabbat Shalom. Don't forget. There's other people. I also want to thank everybody in Texas. I forgot to mention Cedric was there. Met him for the first time. He blew the trumpet. We're going to put that video up of him playing the trumpet. Oh boy. Woo. I said, yeah, that's our thing. We had a good time. We're going to be home for a few months, but we got a plan to do some work. Los Angeles and Las Vegas, as well as Arizona. We're going to be working with you all pretty soon. Our time is up. All right, so look forward to seeing you all. Keep us in prayer. One more time. Shabbat shalom. Shabbat shalom. Amen.